All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and today I'm joined with an outstanding co-host to talk about one of our new favorite subjects here at VCTV, and that is NFTs or non-fungible tokens and everything that is happening in this space. For those that may have missed it this morning, we were talking a little bit about some of the activity in the space, including Jack Dorsey's first tweet that was done on March 21st, 2006, that he turned into an NFT via Cent or CENT.co. That has sold for just over $2.5 million. We also have Kings of Leon following Bleeple. Bleeple, Blau, and selling off their tokenized album. A lot happening in the space. We also had a Banksy purchased, burned, and then the NFT created around that burning of the Banksy art sold for almost $400,000. So again, tons of activity, but let's just jump right in. Big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making today's episode of VCTV possible as well. And jumping into my co-host today, Robbie, welcome back. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll go to Noble and talk.
No problem. I run a company called Animoka Brands. We've been in NFTs pretty much since the early days, late 2017. And our focus has been on looking at NFTs from a game and entertainment perspective. So obviously collectibles and collectability are a big part of what we do, but we incorporate that into games because I think, there's a fundamental paradigm shift, which I can talk about in a minute. And we have an experiment going on this front, but I think it's the idea of what happens if you rejig the economy within your game to perform much more like a real economy as opposed to a fictional economy. And I think that's something that blockchain and NFTs brings into gaming.
I think you're right. And we're starting to see the beginnings of that in addition to some of the brands and games that you have as well, which I do want to definitely dive into. But Noble, welcome back to the show as well. A little intro, a little background.
Hi, my name is Noble Dracone. I've been in investment space for about 28 years, author of the books Winning the Trading Game and Trade Like a Pro. And about 4.5 years ago, I filed a patent on augmented reality and merchandising. And by default, we grew into NFTs. And so I'm also the CEO of Where Play Games. We have multiple 2D games as well as several AR NFT games that we have listed on Atomic Hub. And, one of our portfolio companies, you talked about music earlier, one of our portfolio companies where we own royalties. So we acquire performing rights, we acquire various publisher and author rights. We're about to issue a series of NFTs on those rights in the next 60 days and give people an opportunity to not only have the NFT, but then the ability to stake on those rights. And so I believe non-fungible token space really creates sincere opportunities to finally integrate digital with physical and really create that back and forth in a big way.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. But before we do, a big thing I wanted to mention that happened this morning in the NFT space, Taco Bell. Taco Bell entered the NFT space, digitizing their spicy potato soft taco, as they say, NFT or NF Taco Bell. So very exciting to see the corporate starting to get into the space. We'll see what that looks like here in a minute. But Robbie, I want to come to your point first, and that's this shift that we're seeing into gaming. So sure. NFTs going from just collectibles and much more, but for today's discussion, just collectibles into being applied on the gaming space. Tell us a little bit more about that shift and what you're seeing.
So I think they're related because people who collect. So first of all, NFTs, as we know, are a technology that allows you to be able to own your own content. So it's the ownership of digital assets or the property rights for digital assets. And I think that's really exciting because what it means is that you start to think about game economies, which have always existed for the last decade, frankly, even 15 years probably, ever since we had free-to-play games, there have been in-game economies. But they were designed in a very specific way, which is around the idea of having virtual currency inside the games. So, you have diamonds or gold or whatever it is, you trade real money, fiat, for gold and diamonds in a game, and then spend inside the game to buy virtual items. Now, with the advent of blockchain, we can do two things. We can create NFTs out of those in-game items that you buy, those swords and shields, tanks, cars, whatever they are. And at the same time, we can also tokenize the in-game currency with a fungible token. So those gold coins or those diamonds can be an in-game currency as well. And by combining those two together, you get a very powerful idea, which is you get something, you get a new concept of inflation. Because a traditional game is designed to be inflationary. It prints endless amounts of money because the idea is that, when you progress further in the game, you can get a legendary sword, right? And so that's your achievement in the game. But if 10,000 people achieve that far in the game, they'll all get a legendary sword. So the legendary sword actually doesn't really have any value, right? It's inflationary. It gets printed every time. When you think about designing a blockchain game, it's just the opposite. You're actually trying to, first you're managing inflation because there isn't any. There's a fixed ecosystem of tokens within the ecosystem. And then with the NFTs, as they are given out, they become more rare because they get earned. And so they have value. And so the players who then own those rare and valuable items can swap them with other players, put them on a marketplace like OpenSea, for example, and sell them to other people, or just collect them because they enjoy collecting them and they like showing off that they earned something really cool. And so it's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's necessarily better by design. I personally think so. I think it's a subject of a healthy debate, but it is very different. And it provides a totally different way, I think, of giving players an exciting experience and a way to, I think, one thing it does offer is it offers a path to what we call play to earn, which means as you progress in the game and you achieve and unlock things and collect items, because those are NFTs, those items have a tradable value for which, should you choose to exit the game, you can cash out.
Agreed. And Noble, any additional thoughts on that? I mean, you're playing in this similar space as well. And Robbie, I do want to come back on F1 Delta Time and some of the other brands that you guys have in that space where you're doing this. But
yes,
Noble, talk to us a little bit first. Any added comments on to Robbie's point?
No, I mean, Robbie is spot on. The reality is, we've got a launch. We've done King of Quotes. It was originally a board game that we gave away, and now it's a NFT series. And immediately built into King of Quotes was the idea that people would play and then basically earn for their playtime. Up until now, Tencent, Pokemon Go, Niantic, all these companies have made tons and tons of money from people's casual time, from their quote-unquote leftover time. And without a doubt, my big belief is that the new gig economy is gaming, that people will start finding value and creating value out of hunting, finding, acquiring, getting the swords, getting the weapons, and then being able to take those now found goods and then putting them in a DeFi scenario where people can stake against them and earn value. We've had discussions with the developers of the Alien World, and random people can come to different planets in that game and stake. And as they stake, they get special NFT cards or they get tokens. This is kind of where things had to get to, because as gamers, we're spending tens of thousands of hours between casual games and big budget, console games. Sony sold out overnight. Ubisoft finally saying that they want to incorporate NFTs. People have to have a feeling like they have ownership in their content, that the content they're engaging with actually has some outside value. And particularly millennials who are used to, instant gratification, on Switch and social media and the like. So I think this is a full-blown evolution of that ecosystem where, basically being paid to play is going to be the normative. And anybody who doesn't do that is going to seem kind of odd. So before, that whole ecosystem where people had free games and freemium and, convincing people to do micro payments, now it's going to be micro payments the other way around. So I think that's really the goal of gaming now.
Yeah, and we also just saw, I think it was Ubisoft make an investment today, a $2.5 million investment into a blockchain-based gaming platform as well. So we're starting to see again more activity around blockchain gaming and NFTs, and even Atari came out and are building an online, digital currency-based casino with Decentra Games that's going to be in Vegas City around Decentraland. As well. So, I mean, we're continuing to see that merger as well. But Ravi, with F1 Delta Time, and I want to call this out, this is a brand and a game that's within your world of Amoka brands. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing, because I think it's very unique. Other games that we see, just to add on, is it's you buy an NFT or you buy something within the game, and that is the game. You guys have taken this a step further. And I think what you've done with Delta Time is just fantastic, and I would love the audience to learn a little bit more.
Sure. So F1 Delta Time is a game that we've created based on the brand of Formula One, which everybody knows is the most popular motorsports franchise around the world. And what we wanted to do was create a game experience that was different than all the other Formula One experiences that have come before on PlayStation, Xbox, etc. And so what we created was a game where you can actually now own all of the aspects of the game. So you can own the cars, the drivers, the car parts. You can own segments of the racetracks themselves. And the reason for doing this is because games have become all about community. The last decade has really taught us that online gaming has not only become the world's most popular entertainment medium, it's become a community gathering place. Little kids spend time meeting on Minecraft or Roblox, slightly older kids on Fortnite, adults in now places like Decentraland you mentioned earlier, or the Sandbox. So there are all these virtual worlds built with a game theme where people are spending their time. And we wanted to create community around Formula One. And the way to do that, we felt, was through this shared ownership and fandom of different types of Formula One merchandise. So in the game, you can collect the merchandise, and also obviously there's a racing game and time trials and all that. But what's more is we wanted to appeal to different segments of the audience. So if you are a F1 super fan and you have a lot of disposable income, you can go and bid on auctions and buy super rare, exclusive Formula One collectibles, of which there may be only a few pieces in existence, or even a one-of-one, a one-off special. And you can invest in that and hold it just like you would hold on to your Lewis Hamilton autographed helmet from 2019, right? Or 2020, or pretty much every year for Lewis Hamilton. And so you can collect that. Or you can just, rock up with the, relatively little money and buy a ordinary run-of-the-mill car and just go out and race and earn your way to the top. And that's, there are those two paths. If, though, you decide that you don't have the time to devote to racing every day and practicing, you have another option. You can take the car that you own, because it's your car and you own it, and put it into the staking pool. And so what we've done is we've taken a little aspect of DeFi, which Noble was referring to earlier, and you can stake your car, which in the traditional sense is essentially putting it in a rental pool. So the car goes back to us, and we then rent it out for you to other players who maybe can't afford to buy the most exclusive, super rare, fastest car. And you, as the owner of the car, will earn staking rewards paid in Rev tokens, which is our in-game currency for this and many other racing games. And so basically you're earning a passive return on that investment you made in that race car. And of course, anytime you want, you can go and race it. It's a little bit like like owning a condo that you put out to Airbnb or something like that, let's say. Although some condos are cheaper than some of our cars, to be honest. And you can apply this same idea. I mean, essentially, you're applying interesting economic principles to a game environment because it allows for other types of metagames to occur. Some people may come in and speculate on the value of cars. Some people may come in just because they want to play the game and they love the game. other people, just want to go and trade stuff because they can do play to earn or something like that. So hopefully we have a little bit of something for everybody inside the game, and that's the idea.
Absolutely. And it looks like in the audience, we're hearing that people are saying incredible. Hello from Bangladesh. Hello from other places around the world. London, we see Paris, New York as well. Austin, Texas. Wow, this is great. Very exciting. So hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Noble, anything to add on to Robbie's point? But in general, I mean, what are you seeing around the application of NFTs in this gaming experience, such as using Delta time as a reference? Are you seeing anything else like this? And then we'll get into all the other stuff that's happening in the space as well.
Yeah, well, I'll talk a bit about our company, Wordplay Games. And so we have a whole entire game where we've merged the Cryptokitties algorithm with NFTs that will work back and forth. And so as you create unicorns on your app can then be ported back as an NFT. But then when you merge them, you create unique unicorns that can be ported back out. And so we're using a burning mechanism to destroy as well as to create new NFTs essentially on the fly. And we wanted to kind of limit or throttle how people changed and modified the characters and merging them and creating new unicorns. And so they have to use our in-game token to do it. And so we're creating a whole supply chain. So as we're looking at how NFTs are expressing themselves along multiple through lines, there's all these unique ways where we're just seeing left and right that this is just the beginning. You look at Top Shots, 230 million for video clips. We're looking
just
at
a quick correction. So we're over almost 200. We're over 275 million, and we're 64 days.
Excuse me. I'm off by 45 million. And yet they still, and I talked to somebody today, I said, wouldn't it be great to integrate NBA 2K with Top Shots, and part of your earning is Top Shot videos. And so we're at the beginning of this merging and intersection of what value is being created, and it's really the sky's the limit. I mean, after the ERC 721 protocol came out and people were trying to figure it out, then we've seen so many better utilizations. Like, we're a big fan of Wax. We build everything on Wax. You have House.io, which is now coming aggressively into the NFT space. You've got Flow by the same group who created Top Shots, which is the same group who created Cryptokitties, which is attached to Animoka. So I mean, you have all these unique ways, and people just want to make it frictionless. And so I think that we're in this phase of all the gaming at the end of the day is becoming and is going to make cryptocurrency and NFTs so accessible. The adoption, the mass adoption, is going to happen in this space without a doubt. And it's because people learn, especially through games, but with games, they also learn new behaviors. And that's what games teach people. They teach people how to do things, where to do them, why to do them, and people learn how to jump through hoops and are rewarded for those hoops that they jump through. And the mass adoption, without a doubt, where we talk about Stripe, about PayPal, accepting Bitcoin and crypto. Well, where's it all going to come from? It's going to be coming from people who play games, who port those in-game assets and want to convert them into fiat. And so there's going to be an immediate connection between all these other platforms and how gaming is seeing itself. And, come on, we have Ethereum 2.0 coming. Right now, a lot of this is still being done with expensive gas fees. The moment gas is eliminated in that protocol, Uniswap is coming out with a 3.0 version looking to reduce gas. We're going to see 10 times multiples along the entire spectrum that are going to drive this in-game cryptocurrencies, NFTs, interactions. And it's going to create a whole nother digital economy. So, it takes us, I always say, it just brings us one step closer to the whole concept of the oasis. This is all the foundation laid down. And everyone in their wallet is going to have 20 or 30 different tokens. They're going to have multiple NFTs. They're going to be staking their cars. They're going to be staking their unicorns, their cards. Everyone's going to be doing all of these things, generating incomes to live. And this is really the ground floor of all of that.
Well, I'm going to be steaking tacos. So Taco Bell, stay tuned. I'm going to be steaking tacos as well. But I'm noble to both you and Robbie's point. I mean, even So Rare, you look at So Rare that came out, I think it was last week or the week before, $50 million raised, focused on soccer, football, all focused also around fantasy, right? The idea that you're buying NFT cards of your favorite footballers and that you can bring those into a game experience and play fantasy sports with this, right? It changes that world of fan engagement as we've talked about previously as well. So this is all very exciting to see. And I think you're both on point as to where this goes. But now let's switch into how all of this is shifting and shaping, because you've got companies like Mintable, who Mark Cuban just made an investment in. You've got companies like Mirror that does the tokenized essays or content. You've got these easy on-ramps, or easier on-ramps, I should say. How does that going to open up the game? I mean, we had Kings of Leon last week. We had Blau the week before that. We've got more artists that are Aoki just got into this yesterday as well. I mean, more artists, more entertainers, more people are getting into the idea of tokenizing anything. Mm-hmm. Where does this all go from infrastructure? Are we going to see this easier? Is this going to be some bumpy roads ahead? What are we seeing around where this infrastructure goes?
I think it is going to get a lot easier. I mean, I think, we there's a great company called Mintbase that we made a small investment in, who is basically doing something similar. Their objective is basically just to be a Shopify, right? Mm-hmm. So you can be a small business on-ramp for a minting solution. It needs to be, they began on Ethereum, but they're launching on, they've just launched on Near as well, because there need to be other gas-free or gas minimal solutions, because gas has been an impasse for anybody looking to scale on Ethereum. We have the same issue ourselves. But I think I wanted to go back actually to just talk for a second about this idea of how to provide value in the game for players, and share with you a little example from this past week. We made an announcement a week ago that we were going to do a little experiment with our most popular traditional game franchises. It's a game called Crazy Kings. It's a tower defense game, for those of you who remember tower defense games. And these have been very successful games for us on mobile, and we have a very strong fan base. And we thought, how can we, sprinkle a little bit of sort of blockchain magic on these games and think about how we can create more value for a community that has already been with us for a while, but give them something new and something fun. And so we decided to launch a token, which we call the Tower Token, and use it as an in-game currency in order to incentivize and reward players, because we want players to be able to earn stuff, because they're playing every day and they're spending money. So why not figure out another way to reward them? Okay, so we decided to issue this token, and in order to make that token, to give it value from day one, we created a pool on Uniswap for it, and put it out there just to let the fans have at it, if you will. And so in 7 days, they managed to push the price of it up by, 400% or something like that. And the funny thing is, while of course there are going to be some people who speculate, it is really a fan effort. It's not like doing a share offering or something where you have big institutions come in. This is something that it's got a small market cap and is widely held by lots and lots of players who are putting in small amounts of money because they're interested in our experiment of what we're doing with the game. And the funny thing is, as they increase the value of that token, then the rewards for the players become more lucrative and more attractive. So it's a self-perpetuating sort of cycle that they're actually increasing their own value and their own potential rewards by supporting it and making it part of the community. And I think that's really interesting because, what we're doing by adding blockchain into games is we're essentially open sourcing them. We're saying, okay, it's not going to be a fiat dictatorship where we, the developer, issue all the currency, and it's the point of the game is basically for you there to be a one-way, economy pushing revenue in our direction. What we're saying is we want to open up the game to players and make it 100 times bigger, because you're all playing for the benefit of and with each other. And if we can get paid a commission for helping to support and provide all this infrastructure, then you guys go at it. We don't have to make every dollar of revenue. We just have to pay the bills. And so that's very exciting.
Pay the bills, keep the lights on wherever they may be.
Exactly. Well, the lights on in all our homes, I think, at the moment.
There you go. That's staking tacos. That's how I'm going to pay my electricity. So there you go. Noble, I mean, infrastructure. You're working with a number of companies. How are you seeing this start to pan out as well?
There's the bright, shiny side of all of it, and with you talking about the staking the tacos, it just cracks me up because, we're so much at the 1.0 level of this, and there's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of winners who succeed early on, and then there's going to be a lot of losers who discover that the NFTs don't have any collectible intrinsic value. It's interesting when we're in a microcosm bubble, right? I think they've stated overall there's really maybe 100,000 plus, a little over 100,000 plus people moving the entire markets, to be frank. You have some tourists who are coming in, but we haven't had any level of mass adoption. And so once we start extending past the space, that's where the need of the platforms, both in robustness and providing value, has to be really discerned. There's some plays that we really like. We've invested in Ecomi. We brought them on as speakers on our podcast not too long ago. And we really like what they're doing and the licensing and all that stuff. But at the same time, they're still in beta, and they had some serious issues with crashing and too many people using it. And it hasn't even hit. I mean, they got barely 20,000 people utilizing the platform. That's a lot of people in the last 3.5 weeks. But it just goes to show the plasticity of how those platforms need to really be ready to engage with a lot of people. And they've talked about switching their platform, and they're developing and they're growing, and they've talked about wrapping their particular token with Ethereum. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, and I think that for the most part, most of the people that we're working with is that we were telling them to be forward-looking. Don't be fixated on any kind of particular platform. Don't be fixated on any particular type of token. Don't be afraid to wrap if necessary to go where the energy is. We're just, like I said, we're at the beginning phase of all of this, and it's phenomenal that so much new wealth is being created. Like I said, my biggest concern is that newbies who enter the space are the ones, some of them are going to be left holding the bag on some very interesting items. And so the idea, I like on one hand the idea that it's equalizer, anybody can create an NFT, but it's also almost like when everybody created a website, and all website design was equal, and all UI UX was equal. And so I think it's also caveat emptor as well right now.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Robbie. Anything to add?
Definitely. No, I was actually, you were saying that, Noble, and I was thinking of when people used to squat on domain names, remember? And it was the same kind of thing, because a domain name is cool, but you then have to have something behind it. So yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think that people have been quick to jump into art, obviously, but like all art, it's subject to being in the eye of the beholder. And I love art as much as anybody else, but a lot of NFT art is not to my taste, so I haven't jumped into a lot of it. I think what resonates though with people about NBA Top Shot, for example, though, to use the I'd say the biggest, most public success story of the moment is that obviously the numbers are big, which is great, because I think that proves that there is a market here, and that the market here is significant and substantial. I think NBA Top Shot's short-term success or recent success points to the fact that there is no reason why an NFT-based game industry cannot become the size of the existing game industry over time. And especially given that when you think about it, there's $1 trillion worth of market cap of crypto out there, which is very easy to spend in blockchain-based games without the same kind of onboarding as going from fiat to crypto. And I think that the success that they've had shows that you can scale, right? They're doing 250,000 signups and what is it, like 220,000 DAU right now, which, in a blockchain game, 300 DAU used to be considered success. That's what Cryptokitties was doing when people said Cryptokitties was a wild success, right? And I think that the NBA content resonates with people. If you think about making trading cards, sports trading cards, the traditional way, how do you expand upon the number of cards because there's a finite number of players in the league? Well, the way you expand on it is by literally making a card out of every single moment of every game, which keeps, adding up over time. And that's amazing when you think about just that idea of creating moments rather than players. That was a stroke of genius because it gives you a much bigger collectible universe. And at the same time, people relate to it and understand it. Even if you're not a basketball fan, when you see a video clip of a cool slam dunk, it's still cool, even if you don't like basketball. And you can imagine that you understand the perceived value of that moment. And that's the key, because if you could relate to the perceived value, then you can sort of start to think about collecting it.
Absolutely. So go ahead, Noble.
No, I mean, just to feed on that, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think that there's not a separate NFT gaming experience or crypto gaming experience and gaming experience. I believe that the fluidity, with the way they've done the tower game is a prime example. It already had a built-in base. It just layered on top of with crypto. Our game is a mobile app game that's for the unicorns, and we're going to layer on crypto and the algorithm to go back and forth. I think that is just a natural extension that this is going to add another layer of income for this industry. 2%, 3%, 4%. I mean, when you look at the numbers right now, people spend maybe, the whales spend about 3%. 96%, 97% of people, if I got it correct, don't spend in the games. This explodes that concept of people spending and being in the games because they feel like they're being truly rewarded. And so if we double the industry, how many more multi-billion-dollar companies will we create in the gaming side? So I think that there's no real distinct hard line. It's how easy we're able to integrate both so things move back and forth. And that's a brilliant move on your part, guys, to Robbie, to add that into the tower game because people want to earn for their time.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen the most successful example of that, I think, so far, actually, with Axie Infinity, because they've had a very, very robust ecosystem there and a marketplace for content that has enabled particularly people in countries with lower income levels to be able to really spend the time in game and earn an actual decent living wage.
Mm-hmm.
And more to come as well. I mean, we've got tokenized albums, we've got tokenized art, we've got everybody being able to start playing and testing with us, even again, tokenized content around essays, as I mentioned as well. But would love to come to each of you of your closing thoughts of your big prediction of where this industry goes over the next year. And of course, where can everyone find you each and your respective platforms and games as well, so they can check that out. Noble, let's start with you. Big prediction for the year around NFTs and where this all is going. There's a ton of content out there for people to learn more and see what's happening, but your prediction, and then where can they find?
My prediction is that my prediction is that everyone will literally be stumbling over themselves in NFTs. I think that we are headed into that, meta world where you'll be seeing NFTs everywhere, especially when you converge augmented reality, glassware, eyewear with NFTs. It's going to, people will be tripping over themselves. You can find all of our stuff. Our company is wordplaygames.com, and we already have tons of NFTs on sale on Atomic Hub. And you just type in wordplay game, and you'll see Carousel World NFTs with the unicorns. You also see our King of Quotes, and then we'll be launching on OpenSea our banned NFTs, which will allow you to tap into royalties. So for music royalties. So yeah, we're everywhere in the space and love it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Noble. Robbie, to you, closing thoughts, prediction for the year, and where can everyone find you?
So I think we originally said that 2020 was the year that NFTs, really started to get some traction. And I think actually you asked me this question, Kyle, sometime at the end of last year. And I was really happy with where we had gotten as an industry by the end of 2020. And I don't think anybody, frankly, up until, I was going to say just about New Year's Eve, if my memory serves, expected what would happen in January, because we ended up with a perfect storm of people's interest in NFTs, both NBA Top Shot and gaming products, as well as art collectible projects, combined with an incredible run in crypto prices. And I think this created a perfect storm of people just saying, hey, what's this? And it getting on a lot of people's radar for whom it wasn't on their radar before. So one thing that I said in response, I think, Kyle, to your question back in Q3 or Q4 was blockchain games have not yet had their Angry Birds moment, and it's still very early. And I wonder if, this is a question mark because we'll only know in hindsight, if NBA Top Shot is actually the Angry Birds of blockchain gaming. So if it is, well, we all know what happened to mobile games after Angry Birds.
Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. We'll leave it on that. And Robbie, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. But if you go to animokabrands.com, then you can find all our games: F1 Delta Time, Sandbox, Crazy Kings, et cetera, et cetera. Please come play our games.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Robbie, Noble. Thank you very much for sharing everything today. And to audience, make sure you definitely reach out to Robbie and Noble if you're at all interested in this space, specifically around gaming, but NFTs as a whole as well. And thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us from around the world. I'm seeing France just joined us, so hello, from France. Really appreciate it. Feel free to tune in all day, every day to VCTV. Make sure you click the subscribe button as well to get notified of all new episodes and also be able to hear from the entire VCTV family of speakers, including Noble and Robbie as well. If you'd like to be on a show like today's, reach out. We'll find that right spot for you. A big thank you to the LATOKEN team and Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere at Kyle Ellicott, along with Robbie and Noble on all social media platforms as well. Add context when you reach out, and we'd love to continue that conversation. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV. Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
All right, guys. Thanks, Kyle.